Hello, good evening, welcome. This is Hot Edition. We're live from Ofori-Atta, Desawe Kanda, also live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. We're live on W 93.5 in Y and beyond. This evening, former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta fails to appear before the Office of Special Prosecutor in person today, despite a looming Interpol red notice threat. With the June 2nd deadline, which is today, now expired, we examine the OSP's next steps. Will Ghana escalate extradition efforts or consider virtual testimony amid claims of medical complications? That's a question. Stay with us here on Hot Edition as we analyze the legal and political implications of this high-stakes standoff as we speak. Stay with us. We've got information that the special prosecutor will be addressing the press shortly. Stay with us. We're going to bring you a live coverage of that press conference here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. And this is the breaking news coming through right now here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Let's cross over now to the Office of the Special Prosecutor, where the press conference has just started.
Breaking news on 3FM 92.7.
Against Charles, the Secretary of the disbanded Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, and Andy Thomas Owusu, and of corruption and corruption-related offences. Subsequently, Andy Thomas Owusu, the second accused, has since negotiated a plea bargain with the OSP, which has been filed in court. The processes in respect of the plea bargain, which are restitutive and reparative in nature, would be concluded in court in the coming days. The special prosecutor accepted Andy Thomas Owusu's offer of restitution and reparation to the Republic on the following considerations in accordance with Section 71(4) of the Office of the Special Prosecutor Act 2017, Act 959. One, the history of Mr. Owusu with respect to criminal activity, the level of cooperation Mr. Owusu exhibited during the investigation, the likelihood of obtaining a conviction if the case proceeds to trial, the probable effect on witnesses of a trial, and the need to avoid delay in the disposition of other pending cases. 3. National Petroleum Authority. In November 2024, the OSP commenced investigation into suspected corruption and corruption-related offenses in respect of the operations of National Petroleum Authority, NPA, and the activities of some of its officials. The OSP investigation has revealed that between 2022 and 2024, some high-ranking OSP commenced investigation into suspected corruption and corruption-related offenses of using public office for profit through threats, intimidation, coercion, suggestions, bribery, and inordinate regulatory duress to obtain for their personal benefit large and other entities under their statutory regulatory, licensing, oversight, and monitoring in the petroleum downstream industry. As at the close of business on 30 May 2025, the OSP had uncovered, through tracing and trailing, an amount of 280,516,127 cedis and 19 pesos, being proceeds of the corrupt scheme, some of which has been used by the perpetrators to acquire identified and traced apartments, suites, houses in country and abroad, 22 fuel haulage trucks, and the incorporation, acquisition, and operation of oil marketing companies to compete with the oil marketing companies they were regulating. The OSP, before the end of June, would file criminal charges against the first batch of the perpetrators and complicit oil marketing companies and their officials. Upon filing, we will brief you in detail in respect of who did what, who acquired what, and what has been recovered. 4. Kenneth Nanayao Ofori-Atta. We recall that by a letter dated 24 June 2025, Kenneth Nanayao Ofori-Atta, a former Minister of Finance, was informed that the OSP had commenced investigation into suspected corruption and corruption-related offenses regarding cases in respect of which the OSP considered him a suspect. Further, he was directed to attend in person the OSP on 10 February 2025 for interviewing. Mr. Ofori-Atta was out of the jurisdiction at the time. By a letter dated 31 January 2025, Mr. through his lawyers that he was out of the jurisdiction indefinitely on medical grounds, and that the firm will notify the office of his arrival in the country in aid of rescheduling his personal attendance at the OSP. Further, the lawyers offered its willingness to provide the OSP with any information we may require to aid in the investigation until his arrival in the country. Upon receipt of these representations from his lawyers, the OSP, by a letter dated 5 February 2025, informed Mr. Ofori-Atta that the OSP did not need or required notification from his lawyers of his future arrival in the jurisdiction. The OSP acknowledged his lawyers' offer to provide us with information in aid of the investigation. However, the OSP insisted that his personal attendance at the OSP was required. The OSP directed Mr. Ofori-Atta to indicate by close of business on 10 February 2025 a reasonable date of his return to the jurisdiction and attendance at the OSP. The OSP warned him that if he failed to do so, the OSP would take all necessary legal steps to secure his return to the jurisdiction and attendance at the OSP at our own choosing. Mr. Ofori-Atta failed to indicate a reasonable date of his return to the jurisdiction upon the expiry of the 10 February 2025 deadline, except to still persist in his expressed intent of remaining indefinitely outside the jurisdiction by the transmission of his lawyers of a purported and brusque medical letter on 10 February 2025, which only sought, in effect, to state that he may undergo a possible surgical intervention in March 2025. In the considered opinion of the OSP, that medical letter could not be held to be a disclosure of a reasonable date of Mr. Ofori-Atta's return to the jurisdiction and attendance at the OSP, since it merely indicated that there may be a possible surgical intervention may or may not occur in March. The letter, which was in no way a medical report, neither stated nor demonstrated that Mr. Ofori-Atta was a travel risk or that he was an invalid who needed around-the-clock intense medical attention to the point that traveling to the jurisdiction would endanger his life. Upon the expiry of the 10 February 2025 deadline, the special prosecutor publicly declared Mr. Ofori-Atta a wanted person and a fugitive from justice on February 2025, on the ground that his avowed posture of remaining indefinitely outside the jurisdiction without indicating a reasonable time of his return to the jurisdiction showed clearly that he had no intention of voluntarily returning to the jurisdiction. By a letter dated 17 February 2025, Mr. Ofori-Atta's lawyers transmitted to the special prosecutor a communication laced with vituperation and designed variously as a denigration of the OSP, a lecture on their suppositions as to the mandate of the OSP, a threat of legal action, a sort of homily as to its affairs, an attack on the person of the special prosecutor, and a suggestion that the special prosecutor had embarked on a personal vendetta against Mr. Ofori-Atta without disclosing the alleged series of retaliatory, vengeful, or hostile acts the special prosecutor had directed at him, or alleged exchange of such acts between Mr. Ofori-Atta and the special prosecutor. Crucially, a 17 February 2025 letter from Mr. Ofori-Atta's lawyers failed indicate a reasonable date of Mr. Ofori-Atta's return to the jurisdiction and attendance at the OSP. On this, the OSP, by 17 February 2025, reaffirmed and restated to Mr. Ofori-Atta that he remained a wanted person and a fugitive from justice. The OSP further stated that this tag would remain until he indicated a reasonable time of his return to the jurisdiction, with the necessary and reasonable assurances of abiding by his indicated reasonable time, or until such time that the OSP enforces return to the jurisdiction and attendance at the OSP, whichever came first. By a letter dated 18 February 2025, Mr. Ofori-Atta's lawyers communicated to the OSP that he was scheduled for a possible session in the United States on 20 and 21 March 2025, and further that taking the date of the possible surgical intervention into account, he would require a recovery period of 6 to 8 weeks. On this basis, his lawyer stated that he should be able to return to the jurisdiction between 14 and 30 May 2020. On Monday, by letter dated 18 February 2025, the OSP graciously acceded to Mr. Ofori-Atta's request to return voluntarily to the jurisdiction between 14 and 30 May 2025, as the office deemed the indicated recovery period reasonable in the circumstances. Consequently, the OSP removed Mr. Ofori-Atta's name from the list of wanted persons pending his voluntary return to the jurisdiction based on his own indicated dates. Consequently, the OSP directed Mr. Ofori-Atta to attend the OSP in person on Monday, 2 June 2025 at 13:30 GMT for interview, which is today. The OSP emphasized that if he failed to voluntarily return to the jurisdiction within his stated dates, and if he failed to attend the OSP on the rescheduled date of Monday, 2 June 2025 at 13:30 GMT, his name will be re-entered on the list of wanted persons, and the OSP will consider him a fugitive from justice, whereupon the office will take all necessary legal steps to secure his return to the jurisdiction and attendance at the OSP at our own choosing. Then, by a letter dated 28 May 2025, Mr. Ofori-Atta's lawyers informed the special prosecutor that a medical expert has diagnosed Mr. Ofori-Atta with cancer and has earmarked 13 June 2025 for surgery, for which reason he would be unable to return to the jurisdiction as scheduled. His lawyer stated that to the knowledge of the OSP, this change in circumstances has been brought to the attention of the court, for which Mr. Ofori-Atta is presently pursuing a human rights claim against the OSP and the special prosecutor. His lawyer stated further that in order not to hold the office back in the performance of his function, they had Mr. Ofori-Atta's instructions of his readiness to go through video recorded interview for the purpose of eliciting his caution statement. His lawyers offered to meet the special prosecutor in person or approach the bench for the purpose of viewing Mr. Ofori-Atta's biopsy report, whichever suited the special prosecutor. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the media, this is where we are now. Now let us step back a bit from the 28 May 2025 letter from Mr. Ofori-Atta's lawyers and place the matters in their proper context. I have intentionally went through a tedious timeline. The letter from Mr. Ofori-Atta's lawyers, dated 18 February 2025, clearly indicated that the possible surgical intervention to be performed on him was to occur on 20 and 21 March 2025, upon which reckoning the OSP carefully considered the recovery period and indulgently pushed Mr. Ofori-Atta's attendance at the OSP to 2 June 2025. Therefore, Mr. Ofori-Atta had a duty to promptly inform the OSP of any fundamental change in his medical circumstances on 21 March 2025, when the advertised surgical intervention was not performed. to enable the OSP reschedule a new date of his attendance at the OSP to accommodate any such material changes in his medical condition and treatment itinerary. Mr. Ofori-Atta has known, at least since 21 March 2025, that no surgical procedure was to be performed on him in March. Yet, he purposely sat by indolently and chose not to inform the OSP of such fundamental changes in his circumstances. Instead, about 67 days after learning of the alleged changed circumstances around 21 March 2025, Mr. Ofori-Atta elected to spring a surprise on the OSP on 28 May 2025, just 6 days before his scheduled attendance at the OSP, by offering to undergo a video-recorded interview and a viewing of his biopsy report. Now, back to the 28 May 2025 letter from the lawyers of Mr. Ofori-Atta. As I said, this is where we are. By a letter dated 30 May 2025, the OSP declined Mr. Ofori-Atta's offer of video-recorded interview for the purpose of eliciting his caution statement. This office has always insisted on his personal attendance, and we have indicated clearly to him that we are unwilling to waive it. If we were amenable to taking any such statement from Mr. Ofori-Atta in absentia, we would have done so in February and not waited to 2 June 2025. We want him here physically, and we insist on it. A suspect in a criminal investigation does not pick and choose how the investigative authority should conduct its investigations and the method suitable to him and his convenience. We will not countenance such conduct, not in this case or in any other case. Further, the OSP has declined Mr. Ofori-Atta's invitation to view his biopsy report, as we consider it a pointless exercise. This is because it is common learning that the biopsy report contains nothing more than a conclusion upon the removal and examination of tissue, cells, or fluids from a living body that some disease or malady was indicated in the samples taken. A biopsy report is not an expression of a reasoned medical opinion that the subject of the report is an invalid and unable to travel, as Mr. Ofori-Atta seeks to suggest is his condition, and for which reason he says he cannot return to the jurisdiction. This much is clear. Since 24 January 2025 till date, Mr. Ofori-Atta has failed to show any medical report. I underline, he has failed to show any medical report which suggests that he is a travel risk and unable to return to the jurisdiction by reason of his medical condition. It has all been his say-so, his singular say-so. Therefore, the OSP views Mr. Ofori-Atta's lawyer's letter dated 28 May 2025 as an expression of utter bad faith on the part of Mr. Ofori-Atta, and it confirms our long-held, well-considered opinion and conclusion that Mr. Ofori-Atta has no intention of voluntarily returning to the jurisdiction and to attend the OSP. Further, this office is unaware of his purported information to the court, whether orally or by filed processes, of the alleged change in his circumstances. Today is Monday, 2 June 2025. It is more than 3 hours past the scheduled time of Mr. Ofori-Atta's attendance at the OSP, and Mr. Ofori-Atta failed to attend the OSP today. Mr. Ofori-Atta's conduct is totally unacceptable and a baleful spite at law enforcement and criminal investigations. It ends here. It ends today. We will no longer accommodate him. Consequently, the OSP redeclares that Mr. Ofori-Atta is a wanted person and a fugitive from justice. His name is hereby re-entered on the OSP's list of wanted persons. The OSP will take all necessary legal steps to secure Mr. Ofori-Atta's return to the jurisdiction and to answer to the criminal inquiries against him. In pursuance of this, about 30 minutes before this briefing, I triggered processes for the issuance of an Interpol Red Notice for the location and provisional arrest of Mr. Kenneth Nanaya Ofori-Atta in whichever jurisdiction pending extradition or his surrender. Around the same time, I dispatched a request for extradition processes to be instituted for the provisional apprehension in any jurisdiction in which Mr. Ofori-Atta may be located or found, and his extradition to the Republic of Ghana. The OSP will prefer criminal charges in the courts against Mr. Ofori-Atta in due course, whether in absentia or otherwise. The principle upon which we proceed is that no person, regardless of title, regardless of status, regardless of medical condition, is beyond the reach of inquiry by the OSP. Thank you for coming. If you have any questions, I'll prepare to answer them. If you don't have any questions to Mikayepa and Kamiko. Yes, sir.
Breaking news on 3FM 92.7.
My name is Hanson Ajaman. I work with Channel 1 TV City FM. On the issue relating to the former finance minister, many will wonder...
I talked about 4 cases. Why did you go there first?
Many will wonder what difference will his presence make for the OSP? Because, again, as you've indicated, you have even the option of trying him in absentia. And if you have enough case against him, you can go ahead even without his presence. What exactly is the OSP interested in getting the finance minister back? Relating to the NPA case, you said that you will give out the names of who did what at the right time.
When we file?
Yes, when you file. But I remember at the last press conference, you had singled out the former CEO of the NPA in the person of Mustafa Hamid. It's fair to ask, is he part of the issues you've outlined here today, or his is different? Because he had come out to say that you have not even engaged him, you've not notified him of
Is that so?
Yes, of any form of interrogation, and he's not done anything wrong. And the final thing with Cecilia Dapa is it that you disagreed? Because we know that Iyoko's stance on the matter was based on an advice from the former Attorney General, who says that if you look at the reading of the law, money laundering should be on a predicate offense. Is it that the Office of the Special Prosecutor disagreed with that legal view?
Can I answer? Then we go.
So let's get a bit more. Is there any more question so that we are clear?
You know, some let me override you. Sometimes when it's fresher in mind, the responses come quick. By the time I take 20 questions, I'll forget the meat of what he said. What is his presence? What will his presence do? Now, as I said, in due course, we'll charge him, whether in absentia or otherwise. Imagine we charge him in absentia and we get a conviction against him. Who are we imprisoning, or who are we fining? Sir, to get a simple mathematics of it. As I said in my brief, a suspect in a criminal matter does not choose how the investigative authority should go about investigating him. When he wants to appear, when he decides to appear, in what way he wants to appear. We do not take caution statements online from a foreign jurisdiction. And who says I even want to take a caution statement from him? He is the one who is dictating, he wants to dictate the process. You get it? And we have always insisted from the onset that we want him here. Legally, I will say that to you. But there's a far more grave reason why we need him here. And since the investigation is still going on, it will be rounded up soon. I will not be able to disclose to you. But as I said, that possibility, if we take him to court, if he is convicted, if he is sentenced to some number of days, months, years in prison, in absentia, what would we have done if we didn't to bring him here? Mind you, this office investigated a former president. The former president was served at the time with the same kind of directive to appear before the OSP. We didn't have to be chasing the former president around the world. How much less the former Minister of Finance? What is so special about Mr. Ofori-Atta that he thinks is unique and should be treated like a king? As I said, we have indulgently accommodated him. It ends here. hence here today. This rigmarole is not going to go on anymore. We are not going to accommodate such conduct again. We've granted him so long a rope, it's tied him up, and it's done. Our NPA, yes, we singled out 3 individuals on 12 February. And you said one said he hadn't been engaged. Let me ask my operational directors, should I review? They say no. So when we file, as I said, we will go through, we will brief you who did what, who took what, who acquired what, and what we've been able to identify and what we've been able to retrieve so far. We've retrieved some things too. Cecilia Dapa, when in May 2024, the then head of IOCO returned the docket back to the OSP. The OSP didn't comment, did it? We didn't express an opinion as to whether we agreed with its conclusion or otherwise, or as to whether we agreed with the Attorney General then. We had investigated the matter. We had hit a wall in terms of our mandate. We were seeing things that looked like in the province of IOCO's mandate. So we sent the docket to IOCO under referral, under provisions under our act, for them to go to court, because we didn't think the docket was ready for prosecution. What we suggested is do your own investigation, commence your own investigation to see if you will see conclusions of what we think we are seeing. They returned it to us wholly and said they didn't have any basis upon which to commence investigation. Now, a year later, there's a new leadership. A new leadership has requested for the docket that they want to review and commence investigation. So we've given it back to IOCO under the new leadership, and we have promised wholly and said we didn't have any basis upon which to commence investigation. Now, a year later, there's a new leadership. A new leadership has requested for the docket that they want to review and commence investigation. So we've given it back to IOCO under the new leadership, and we have promised them our full collaborative support and partnership in respect of their review and investigation. Shouldn't you be happy that someone wants to take action and not someone who just closes a file and says, I can't even open up to investigate? Yes. Yes, sir.
Right,
Did I see you this morning?
Perhaps on TV. Perhaps
Means
on
you
TV.
were on TV this morning.
No, maybe alone in the afternoon. On that May 28 letter, lawyers of Ms. Ofori-Atta wrote to you, where they, amongst many things, disclose his health condition. Did they by chance communicate if there was a possible date to which he could honor this invitation at a subsequent date? That's the first question. The second is, when you wrote back rejecting the explanation that had been offered, reason for which he cannot make that appearance, has there been yet again another response from the lawyers of Ms. Ofori-Atta? Because there is also the argument being made that in all of your actions you've been adversarial, and like my colleague had mentioned, if indeed you have a case, you should have filed it by now.
Just as has been his style, 28 May 2025 request to us contained no suggestions of a date. Mind you, all this while we beat the date out of him. You will recall, he never suggests a date. He just says, I'm unwell, I cannot come. When I come in, my lawyers will inform me. Say, police, police. Yeah. When the law enforcement agency and the prosecutorial investigative authority wants you, you do not tell that investigative authority that you choose to come when you want to come. It is a criminal inquiry. You are a suspect. You've been told clearly. Because upon arrival here, we may choose to arrest you. It is not for you to choose and pick what should be done. Now, I signed a letter for dispatch on 30th May, that is on Friday, and so we've not had any response. And so we've been adversarial. I almost went to the lecture room. You know my first love is lecture. Once again, investigative and prosecutorial authorities are adversarial by nature. If I were to challenge you to read the entire scheme of affairs in Act 29, LI 2374, there is not a single provision there which is friendly. Read Act 29 itself, the mother of criminal jurisprudence in this country. There's not a single friendly provision because it is criminal. In criminal law, there's no friendliness. And that is principle, that is policy. Situate it in our context. We have been adversarial since 24 January. We kept pushing. We kept pushing. We've been indulgent. Because, let me speak to you again, so when someone says they are not well, you listen. But is it on the say-so of the person in this modern era? If you want to take an excuse duty for your employers, do you show up at your boss's desk and just say, I have cancer, I can't come to work the next 4 years? Is that what you would do? Would your bosses take you serious? You probably may be fired on the spot. How much more in a criminal inquiry? You are dealing with a criminal investigative and prosecutorial authority. And every time you show up and just say, just singularly, on your say-so, that you are unwell, you cannot come. Mind you, in my brief, I said, from 24 January till now, Mr. Ofori-Atta has not produced any medical report. A semblance of it was that medical letter, that 5-line medical letter that said he may undergo a possible surgical intervention in March. And from March, count the days till 28 May. From 20 to 21 March, when he said he was going to have the possible medical intervention, surgical intervention, upon which reckoning we indulgently said, oh, take some of the days, recuperate. So he suggested he will come between 14 to 30 May. We said, oh, take a few more days, come on 2nd June. How friendly can we be? Beyond this, after accommodating you, you sat by for at least 67 days when you knew your condition had changed, and you never bothered to tell the OSP that there's been a fundamental change in your condition. You're acting in bad faith, utter bad faith, and for which reason we have stopped this party. Can we hear the lady? Hoarse voices. Let me hear something more interesting.
Thank you very much.
Including mine.
Special Prosecutor. My name is Mami.
Did you hear that?
I'm with Joy News. My first question is, the letter you received from Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta's lawyers indicating that he's unwell and still unfit to present himself physically for interrogation. Have you independently verified the information that has been given to you, at least know exactly where he is in the U.S. and in which state he is in? Also, you declared him wanted at a point where he doesn't return into the country. At which point are you going to begin extradition processes? Also, under the Mutual Legal Assistance Act, Act 807 under Section 42, it provides, opportunities for hearing of the accused person via video conference, one which the lawyers of Ken Ofori-Atta have proffered. Why are you not considering that?
It's all in context. It's all in context. In my briefing, I said on extradition processes, we commence it today. Because we had to wait. Maybe there would have been a change of mind from 28 May till now. You never know, because you don't hasten to take such decisions. Maybe from 28 May to today, 2 June, over the weekend, he may have emplaned and arrived in the country. So you wait. For your own stipulated expiry date and time to elapse before you commence action. So I said, 2 minutes before I came to commence the briefing, triggered the extradition processes with the right authorities. And around the same time, triggered the Interpol red notice for his location and provisional apprehension wherever he may be found. Now, you talk about MLA. Sorry, first you asked whether we have independently verified whether he was unwell or not. Now, you do not spend state resources and time chasing after ghosts. In this sense, when the person has not represented to you by any medical report or opinion that he is so unwell that he cannot travel, he is so unwell that he cannot come to the jurisdiction, you do not go wasting your time verifying. For the law enforcement agency, it tells us that he's been untruthful. And that is the reason why we've been at him since January, because we do not believe what he's saying. You get it? And it is not for us, the law enforcement agency, the prosecutorial investigative authority, to establish his medical condition. For us, what the law requires us to do is, if we're investigating suspected corruption and corruption-related offenses, and you are a suspect, we bring you in. When we find you, then we assess your situation to see if you should even go through such a process, if you should even stand a trial by reason of your medical condition. Look, even persons who have been convicted and imprisoned, when they fall so unwell, and they taken to the hospital. That's why I said in Plea earlier that, but the person has to show you that he is really so unwell that he cannot travel. And there are two things. As I'm standing here, you do not know my ailment. As you are sitting there, there may be some ailment which afflicts you, which I do not know. But merely by looking at you, I cannot tell that, oh, you are suffering from this or that or that. What tells us is what I told the first gentleman, a medical report. He's not the only one who's been in the U.S. He's not the only one who's been to medical facilities in the U.S. When U.S. medical facilities are communicating with law enforcement, we know the form in which they come. A hospital administrator goes through a tedious process of detailed analysis of his condition to come to a conclusion that he is unfit to travel, and so he shouldn't be made to travel. That is when a law enforcement agency considers things like the MLA processes, but not on your say-so, not by way of a biopsy report. Once again, a biopsy report in street language, it is merely like a lab test. That shows you have a certain condition. So in his contest, since it's indicated that he says he has cancer, it will be a removal of some tissue or fluid to test whether the tissues put in the cassette indicate cancerous cells. It doesn't mean that he's dying tomorrow, God forbid. It doesn't mean that he is so unwell that he can't travel. You know how many people are walking around with cancerous ailments, but they still show up at police stations and law enforcement agencies? That's why I asked the very first questioner, what is so special about Mr. Ofori-Atta that he thinks that he can lie on his bed somewhere and say on his say-so without any evidence that I'm unwell, I can't show up? Conclusion, he won't come voluntarily. And so we end this process of accommodating him and put him back on the wanted list. Yes. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. My name is Ohina Mponsa, and I work with Adum TV. You wanted Ken Ofori-Atta in person.
Mm-hmm.
Is it that our laws do not permit trial in absentia? Is it the case that all the documents that are presented to you by Ken Ofori-Atta, you seem not to have, it does not meet your threshold? Is it also possible that OSP will elect to go through the process or the trial, and at the end of the day, if the court listens to you and upheld in your favor, the court declare, or the court will put him to a place that he is supposed to be put, rather than it appearing that the SP or the OSP is becoming a judge in his own court. Thank you.
Yes, I would also want to ask you a question. Is this the first time that someone in our country has been declared wanted? Is it? All the persons previously declared wanted before him, were they human? Or they were not human? He is the only human. There's nothing special about this. That is all I'm pointing at. There's nothing special. There's nothing secretive or esoteric about it. It is just a simple legal process. Law enforcement agency wants you, you show up. If you see the gentleman standing by you, if he comes to you to say that you are under arrest, and you do not go quietly with him, what will happen? He will enforce it. If he doesn't reduce the length of one of your your legs and hauls you along with him. That's all I'm saying. There's no choice about you responding to criminal law enforcement. See, this video conferencing, this is not a civil inquiry. This is not a taking of a deposition in some matter before which you are filing before a court or not. Mind you, we are still in the investigative stage. We haven't filed yet. So everything now is under the purview of the OSP. You get it? Before we go to court, if the court says some emissaries should be taken there to question him under the largesse of whichever authority in whatever jurisdiction he may be found, that's fine. But for us doing investigations, we need to find our criminal suspects. We cannot just sit here and treat things like you are the same person who will turn around and say, we are treating some harshly and we are sugarcoating others. For as far as we are concerned, Mr. Ofori-Atta is not special. I will repeat. We investigated a former president. Have you forgotten? On 8 August 2024, I came right in this room and told Ghanaians our conclusions and our findings. A former president. He was served with the same processes. He showed up. I'll repeat again, much less a finance minister, a former finance minister. The OSP stands for this. We do not regard persons. We do not regard titles. We do not regard your station in life. Everyone is the same to us. As we have set the precedent of investigating a former president, no one is beyond our purview. Everyone is fair game if we think you are a suspect in a criminal inquiry. Trial in absentia. I indicated so, that we've triggered the processes for his enforced return back to the jurisdiction. By the time we are ready to go to court, he is still not here. We will file. If we commence the trial, he is still not here. We will commence the proceedings. He can choose to be there, wherever he is, if we haven't found him yet, if we have not enforced his appearance before us. See, criminal proceedings are not to be taken lightly. You respond to them. Even civil proceedings. If you fail to respond to civil proceedings, you will be sitting in your office or home one day and processes will be served on you that you've lost your house. Just because you sat by and didn't respond. And criminal proceedings, now I'm beginning to feel as if I'm in a lecture hall at Legon. With criminal proceedings, you stand the specter of losing your freedom, of losing something valuable to you by way of a fine. And that is no proceeding to joke with. Can I go now? Which is? Oh, documents. Are we a judge in our own cause? We are looking for someone to apprehend, and you're asking whether we are judge in our own cause. If we are judge in our own cause, it means the law says we should be a judge in our own causes, but it cannot be the case. The law gives us the mandate to investigate suspected offenders. The law gives us the mandate copiously by spelling out our investigative powers. This is all we are doing. Mind you, we are performing a statutory function of investigations and likely prosecution. We haven't rendered any judgment on him, have we? Have we said he's guilty of one offense or the other? We haven't said that. We are only saying we have accommodated him enough, and we are not going to go further. He is now a wanted person again and a fugitive from justice. That's the last, right? Let me take the one who hasn't had a go. Yes, sir.
I'm Isaac Abila.
In your head, or not vigorously. What do you disagree with? Let's discuss.
I'm Isaac Abila with the EIB network, and my
EIB.
question.
Okay.
My question is: had Ken Ofori-Atta duly communicated to the OSP at a reasonable time with the update on his alleged surgery date? How much more time would the OSP allotted to him beyond June 2?
Okay, so this is in theory. And in theory, let me answer. In theory, as I said, in practice, he sat by for about 67 days. When it became apparent to him that there will not be any surgical procedure in March, you sat down from 21 March through April, through May, then 28 May, 8 days before you are supposed to show up, you say, I'm on the verge of death, I can't show up, on your say-so. From the trajectory of events, from the timelines, from our conduct, it should be clear to everyone that we have been very indulgent and accommodating, even to attract the air of Ghanaians that we were treating him with kiss gloves. I lie. I've heard talk. Mr. Boesiako is going through some private hell. And why is Mr. Ofori-Atta being given such a leeway? That is not what prompts our actions. But I'm just saying, our conduct has been to the effect that if you, once again, let me say it in Twi, yemfa yare nya obi. So when the person communicates to you with evidence that he is unwell, that he is unable to travel, that he is unable to move, why do you insist that he must come on a specific date? But when he said to us that, oh, on 20 and 21 March 2025, there will be a possible surgical intervention, then we carefully considered a recovery period after 21 March 2025. Give it 6 weeks, for instance. But we gave it 8 weeks, and we added more days to it, by which time you should have recovered. What prompted us to give such a leeway from 21 March? No, from 17 February, 18 February. What prompted us to give him that leeway all the way to 2nd June? It answers you. And so if you had that indeed he is unable to move, he is a travel risk, he is an invalid, we would have accommodated him. But this is utter bad faith. And we won't go on this trajectory again. That's the last. He's been dying to ask his last question. Oh, they said prime time is over. able to bring him. What if he's even moved from the US? What if he's in South Africa? How would you know? So you throw your net, and that is why the Interpol red notice is crucial. Goes to all 196 or so parties to it, and wherever he may be found, provisionally apprehend him, and then we begin the process. He may choose to surrender and come quietly. Yeah. So those are the considerations that go into
Here from 92.7, also on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. We're live on W 93.5 in and beyond. A news conference addressed by the special prosecutor Kisi Ejabeng himself ended some few minutes ago at the office of the special prosecutor. We're live there, and this is the live coverage we've been bringing to you. The matter at hand is that, yes, the special prosecutor has again declared Kenneth Nanayao Ofori-Atta as a wanted man. If you go on the special prosecutor's website, that's right now, they have published the wanted notice of Ken Ofori-Atta as we speak. It's live on our Facebook page at 3FM927. That wanted notice on the special prosecutor's website. We have a copy of it. If you go on our Facebook page right now at 3FM927, it is right there for you. And it reads, wanted by the police, wanted by the Office of Special Prosecutor, wanted by the Office of Special Prosecutor, Kenneth Nanayao Ofori-Atta, name, description, date of birth, 7th November 1958, age 66 years, gender male, eye color black, hair color black, distinguishing marks not applicable, complexion brown skin, possible location United States, United Kingdom, South Africa, Guyana, Hong Kong, and Cayman Islands. These are the places, according to the special prosecutor's wanted notice, these are the possible locations of Ken Ofori-Atta as we speak. United States, United Kingdom, South Africa, Guyana, Hong Kong, and Cayman Islands. These are the areas the special prosecutor says they suspect Ken Ofori-Atta is. But if you recall, this is quite interesting, because if you recall, the earlier communication by Ken Ofori-Atta's lawyers and the medical information that they provided did indicate that Ken Ofori-Atta was in the United States receiving medical treatment. The special prosecutor acknowledged all of that. If you listen to the special prosecutor, it takes quite some time to chronicle all the events that have gone by over the last at least two to 3 months related to Ken Ofori-Atta. And the reason why today, by 1:30 p.m., which is almost 5 hours away or ago, Ken Ofori-Atta was supposed to physically present himself to the special prosecutor. That did not happen. And that's what has occasioned this press conference by the special prosecutors we're hearing. And he did indicate that the Ken Ofori-Atta's lawyers indeed wrote to the special prosecutor on the 28th of May, which was some 4 days ago, in fact 5 days ago, indicating that Ken Ofori-Atta was to undergo another medical operation on the 13th of June, and reason why he cannot make himself physically present. Now, based on this information, the special prosecutor says Ken Ofori-Atta is picking and choosing how he wants to be, as it were, investigated. And in the view of the special prosecutor, a suspect in a criminal matter doesn't pick and choose how investigations or investigative agencies conduct its investigation into his issues, as to when, where, how it is done. So on that note, the OSP says they have declined Ken Ofori-Atta's invitation to view his bail sphere, and the report, as we are seeing now, because of the matters that they have raised concerning Ken Ofori-Atta's medical report. Now, according to the special prosecutor, Ken Ofori-Atta has failed to show any medical report that he is a travel risk. And the special prosecutor has declared that it ends here. and today, he will no longer be accommodated in terms of the excuses that the special prosecutor posted, the excuses, and also the notices that he, through his lawyers, gives to the special prosecutor. The special prosecutor, indicated that he has triggered the issuance of the Interpol red notice, and then also has instructed that Ken Ofori-Atta be put back on the wanted list. So if you're on our Facebook page right now, we are showing you just few minutes ago the special prosecutor's wanted notice that has been put on its website right now, that's wanted by the Office of Special Prosecutor Kenneth Nanaya Ofori-Atta is back on the wanted list on the special prosecutor's website, and these are the reasons they gave. This suspect is wanted to answer charges in respect of several cases, including strategic mobilization GRA contract, termination of ECG BXC contract, national cathedral payments, ambulance procurement contract, and tax refund account utilization. Anyone with information on the whereabouts of this individual should alert the office that's the special prosecutor's office, by calling or sending a WhatsApp message to, they give some two numbers, 055-44-94499 and 055-44-84488. That is information right now the special prosecutor has just published on its website. They have put Ken Ofori-Atta back on the list of wanted persons.
Breaking news on 3FM 92.7.
And you heard the special prosecutor chronicle all the reasons why. One, in that Ken Ofori-Atta is back on the wanted list because he's under investigation by the OSP for the 5 key issues: petroleum and mineral revenue assurance, electricity contract termination, that's the contract between ECG and Beijing BXC, and the National Cathedral procurement and payment processes, the ambulance deal, the Ministry of Health's contract for some 307 ambulances, if you recall that, and then the GRA tax refund, also handling and disbursement of the said tax fund account. These are the 5 issues the special prosecutor says Ken Ofori-Atta is being investigated on, reason why he's back on the wanted list. 2, the special prosecutor gives some key timelines. January 2025, the OSP named Ken Ofori-Atta a suspect, summoned him on the 10th of February. He didn't show up. 31st January, his lawyers claimed he is abroad for medical reasons. On the 5th of February, the special prosecutor demanded a return date and warned of the legal consequences that was not given. Then, following up on the 10th of February, an unaddressed doctor's note cited March, the month of March, that Ken Ofori-Atta was going to have a surgery in March, and there was no confirmed return date. On the 12th of February, the special prosecutor declared Ken Ofori-Atta a fugitive from justice. On the 18th of February, his lawyers appealed to the special prosecutor, and then the firm that his lawyers indicated that there was going to be a May return date, which was given, on the 2nd of May. And subsequent to that, Ken Ofori-Atta's name was removed from the wanted list with a warning of the reissuance if the said date of return was not complied with. Fast forward to March 2025, Ken Ofori-Atta sued the special prosecutor over the wanted status that was put on him, demanding the removal of his history of publication on social media. On the 28th of March, the Human Rights Court heard Ken Ofori-Atta's plea to block the special prosecutor from future declarations and adjourned it to the 18th of June 2025. So that case is still pending. Now, what has happened now is that the special prosecutor says Ken Ofori-Atta's lawyers wrote to him on the 28th of May, which was just some few days ago, indicating that today, which was the return date that Ken Ofori-Atta was supposed to come and physically present himself to a special prosecutor, he will not be able to make it. Reason being, he is scheduled for a medical procedure on the 13th of June. And according to the special prosecutor, Ken Ofori-Atta knew this particular medical procedure way back, but did not notify the special prosecutor up until just few days ago. And so as a result, Ken Ofori-Atta cannot choose and dictate how investigations are done regarding all these issues that he has been investigated for. And as a result, the special prosecutor says it ends here and today. He will no longer be accommodated. The special prosecutor has triggered the issuance of the Interpol red notice, and that is what we have in play right now. Ken Ofori-Atta is back on the wanted list. If you go on our Facebook page at 3FM927, we have the wanted notice on the website of the special prosecutor right now. And Adam Senano is a co-chair of the Citizens Movement Against Corruption. He's been following this case quite closely. Mr. Senano, good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening.
And I took time to recall and chronicle all the issues as the special prosecutor did put out a few minutes ago at that press conference that ended not too long ago, just to put the matters in context. Certainly, this development of Ken Ofori-Atta being put back on the wanted list doesn't come as a surprise, is it not?
Not really, especially when the information that late last week, 28th, probably that's like Thursday or something, the lawyers of Mr. Ofori-Atta rather belatedly were informing the OSP that he will not show up this week. That was too late in the day. I mean, given all the issues that have happened, they ought to have been engaging much more frequently if there were issues going to prevent him from fulfilling his commitment.
I see, but then again, the lawyers of Ken Ofori-Atta earlier today had indicated that they were in fact prepared for any eventualities regarding whatever next move the special prosecutor will take, and described the special prosecutor's steps on this matter as indecent haste. Is it one that you would align with?
I don't know what is indecent about this. Listen, the special prosecutor's position, which I align with, because there is logical sense in it. What is it that he's saying? He's saying that up to now, you've not provided a medical report from a medical facility that says that, look, this is a diagnosis. Based on the diagnosis, these are our conclusions. Based on the conclusions, these are the recommended actions. This is when it will be taken, and therefore, this person is not available from this point to that point, and we'll update you subsequently. If you provide, for example, in this case, the biopsy report. A biopsy is like a lab report. They take a sample of tissue, they analyze it, and they can tell you that the tissue is malignant or whatever. That report by itself would not usually have a medical doctor's comment on it. It will simply be the technical lab report saying that, yes, we found that this tissue is cancerous or not. What you need beyond that is an MD's commentary on it saying, because of this, this is the conclusion, and based on the conclusion, we're recommending that treatment A or treatment B should be provided, whether chemotherapy or whatever, for a 2-week period. And in addition, that this facility, and that's the key part, the facility with its logo, with its contacts, the name of the professional working on it, is going to do this at this point. That is missing. So far, they've had some documents with no letterhead, no contacts, just describing what is going on. Now they say there's a biopsy report, which again is just a lab report without any credible institution taking responsibility and saying we've examined him, he is in our area, in our facility, and we're acting. I mean, that raises a lot of questions. In any case, all these months, so where has he been? The energy he has spent engaging his lawyers, wouldn't a fraction of that, the time spent engaging with his lawyers to come up with cases that are tried and elsewhere, wouldn't that have sufficed enough for him to have answered these questions by now? So I think that we should understand that the SP would have been irresponsible if the necessary due diligence, which includes validation of what the person says, I have this condition, and a medical facility has said we are going to intervene. Where is the documentation showing that It's not just that there's a diagnosis, but there's a conclusion, there's a recommendation, and it is X facility that's going to do it, and we know that for sure that these professionals are going to do it. It hasn't happened.
See now, but there was a question about really why the special prosecutor would insist on a physical appearance when the latest from his lawyers indicate that Ofori-Atta is ready for some virtual engagement with the special prosecutor.
Well, in criminal investigations, usually they want the person to be physically around. Your body language itself is part and parcel of the engagement. And there are things that you may need to sign on to. The processes they take you, you swear to A and B, you sign on things, plus the physical. You never know, if they want you to do a lie detector test. The investigative bodies have their ways in which they want to collect information. In any case, if at the end of that interrogation they find that you are truly culpable, what would be the value if you are on a virtual platform? Let's not run away from confronting the fact. It is very possible that at the end of that engagement, they will find that there are substantive things that Mr. Ofori-Atta should be held accountable for, which I believe may be part of the reason why he doesn't seem keen on this. What would be the value if it's a virtual discussion? And at the end of the engagement, they find that truly there's reason to say this person should be billed or whatever for court processes to begin. Any ordinary citizen would have to go through that anyway. I think it is well within the mandate of the OSP to determine that they want him physically. And I think that every law-abiding citizen is so required to make themselves available.
And on the back of that, the OSP took some time to, in fact, chronicle how all of this has played out right from January up until now. And few days before his expected physical appearance before the special prosecutor today, we saw him go to court as well. Ofori-Atta is in court again. He was seeking to restrain the special prosecutor from putting him back on the wanted list, which has happened some few minutes ago as we speak. What does all of that tell you?
Well, the optics have not been good. All these side events have only made it probably much more difficult for the SP to believe that he's not just trying to do everything to make sure he's not available. Listen, if you know that you are clean, you don't have anything to hide, you believe you have the answers to the issues. They've told you exactly the cases. By now, you and your team of lawyers, you have gathered all the documents in relation to those 5 cases and gone through them and ensure that you are covered. Just come and speak to them. The energy being spent on all these other cases, it just sends the optics is not good. It sends the wrong message. You have time to do other things, but come clear yourself and indicate that you've not, as it were, engaged in anything fraudulent or deprived the good people of this country of resources that should be used for development purposes. I don't think that those other actions have positively contributed for anyone to believe that he's not trying to avoid being interrogated and held accountable for any losses that the state has incurred.
You align with that position by the special prosecutor declaring today that yes, all of this ends here and today. He will no longer be accommodated. No medical explanation, so-called, would be accommodated from him going forward.
Unfortunately, yes, because I don't think that he and his team of lawyers have kept good faith with the OSP. Really, after giving a commitment to such an important entity of state, that you're going to come by a certain date. June 2nd, if is right, or whatever the case is. You don't wait till less than 7 days to the date to suddenly say things have changed. Obviously, if you're going to be engaging in an intervention, that should have come up more than a week ago. And yet, again, this time, you don't provide a medical facility report. All the important things that would then make the SP believe that, look, I have the evidence to suggest that a credible medical group is dealing with this individual. They have confirmed this is the intervention at this time. and therefore I should take it seriously. I don't think that they have money to do what is required of them to assure everybody that they are willing to bring themselves and answer questions. I'm not too surprised that the SP has decided to put him back on the wanted list.
Mr. I appreciate your time on this. Thank you so much for joining us.
And thank you for having me.
Adam Sano is the co-chair of the Citizens Movement Against Corruption there. So live here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, also on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. We're live on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond. Now, if you go on our Facebook page at 3FM 927, we're showing you the latest coming through from the special prosecutor, the wanted notice that has been published again. Ken Ofori-Atta has been put back on the list of wanted persons by the special prosecutor. And if you go on our Facebook page, let's put the wanted list right there now. It says name Kenneth Nanaya Ofori-Atta. That's number one. And the description, date of birth 7 November 1958, age 66 years, and gender male, eye color black, and then also the hair color black, distinguishing marks not applicable, complexion brown, skin, possible locations. They put United States of America, United Kingdom, South Africa, Guyana, Hong Kong, and Cayman Islands. These are the areas the special prosecutors say they suspect that Ken Ofori-Atta is in as we speak, and they are not taking that medical report, and as it were, the medical communication, for that matter, from Ken Ofori-Atta's lawyers, indicating that he is receiving treatment in a health facility in the United States of America. Special prosecutor says, to the extent that they don't have him physically, they cannot assume that he is in the United States. And so they are spreading their tentacles beyond the United States, looking into the United Kingdom, South Africa, Guyana, Hong Kong, and the Cayman Islands. And obviously, questions will be asked as to why these specific countries. But it's definitely for the special prosecutor to give some more details and answer that particular question. Here are the reasons why they have put Ken Ofori-Atta back on the wanted list. That the suspect, Ken Ofori-Atta, is wanted to answer charges in respect of several cases, including strategic mobilization. That's a GRA contract. You remember the SML GRA contract, the termination of the ECG BXC contract, and the National Cathedral payments, ambulance procurement contract, and tax refund account utilization. And this also is a matter that borders on security, okay? Because the special prosecutor is talking about the triggering the extradition processes from today onwards. And now that the special prosecutor has declared Ken Ofori-Atta wanted, then what next? And the areas, in fact, the countries that the special prosecutor has listed are the countries that they suspect Ken Ofori-Atta is in, despite his lawyers putting out a communication that he is receiving treatment in a facility, a health facility in the United States. Now, Richard Commodore is a security consultant. He's joining us on the telephone, a former operative of the National Intelligence Bureau, formerly BNI. Mr. Commodore, good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Nene.
No, you heard the special prosecutor then, and it's striking because we have a copy of the wanted notice which they have published on their website. And even though there's some medical communication from the lawyers of Ken Ofori-Atta that he's receiving treatment at a health facility in the United States, special prosecutor says the possible locations of Ken Ofori-Atta is the US, yes, the UK, South Africa, Guyana, Hong Kong, and the Cayman Islands. How does that strike you?
I wasn't surprised at all. Before they got to this conclusion, they have done some level of work, and some people might have traced him and follow him all over the world. As investigators, there's something we do. It's a basic thing we do for international community travelers and local people. We call it the travel rate. And the travel rates and the travel history gives us history of where you are likely to be and where you might have been within a particular time. So I'm sure that they have done that, and that is why he carefully listed those countries. And he did not just list them, but those countries might be countries where we have the extradition or deportation protocols with them, and that makes life easier.
And that leads me to the next question about the extradition and the protocols. The special prosecutor has indicated that that's what one of the steps he's going to take after today. How is that going to play out?
There are two ways. Either he will mount a legal challenge wherever he is, and he could be tried in absentia, like the special prosecutor said, or he will come voluntarily, or he might come under some level of compulsion. Recently, in one of the African countries, the investigators traveled to the country where the fugitive is living, and they brought him themselves, and he came to stand trial. So there are various methodologies, there are various options and various avenues available to the special prosecutor. But before you put me on, when you were listing the 5 areas where he's wanted for questioning, you know, it could be the BNI might be interested in one particular area, Yoko might be interested in one particular area, FIC might be interested in an area, and the police might be interested in an area. That do not mean that OSP is the sole agency to investigate all these 5 areas. Some other investigators could get involved, and that may change the dynamics or the complexity of it.
It's a very interesting dynamic you bring to the conversation now, that these 5 countries could possibly be because other investigative agencies investigating other issues that Ken Ofori-Atta may be involved in are also now sort of collaborating with the special prosecutor in all of this?
Definitely, yes. Particularly some international organizations that came into our country recently and signed some collaborative partnership arrangements with some of our investigative bodies. They have large platforms and they have huge resources available to them. And to the extent that all other investigative and prosecutorial agencies have the ability to investigate any of these cases at all times, they might be collaborating more, and that might change the dynamics a little bit, if not a straightforward line. You remember the special prosecutor also said Yoko might be asking for some documentation concerning our auntie, and you remember he angrily said, I use the word angrily, not in any harmful way, but you know he stressed the point that when you have come under crime notice, and the notice itself, it's not the duty and the responsibility of the suspect to dictate the pace, the how, and the methodology to be applied and when to report. I feel vindicated this evening because this is something I have been stressing for all these years. And for coming from the special prosecutor, particularly within this case, I think that is the way to go, and we should treat ourselves civilly. But where there are issues to be dealt with in terms of crime investigations and when you have come under crime notice, we need to tread cautiously. Other than that, we might be creating confrontation and antagonism that may not usually help the crime suspect.
And, well, in that regard, the special prosecutor is saying that, I mean, they insist that they want Ken Ofori-Atta physically because of, some other matters that could play out if he appears physically, and that a suspect in a criminal matter doesn't pick and choose how investigative agencies conduct their investigation when it comes to him.
And you know, this is the investigative sphere. They have not stand trial where you say he could be tried in absentia, even though that's an option for the OSP and the other investigative bodies. But this is at the investigation stage, and they need that physical presence, particularly when there are questions where your physical presence is required. And this is a standard procedure all over the world. Let's not create problems for ourselves. Let's not stretch it a little bit too far. It is a standard procedure, and let's follow it so that tomorrow, when history is being written, we could say, when we came, this is what we saw and this is what we did. And it builds up our democracy, particularly in the area of rule of law and crime investigations.
But I mean, that's where the issue is. I mean, that if all of this was at play and some say these were the options available to the special prosecutor, why didn't he trigger that earlier than now?
Yeah, I think you remember he made the point that he was lenient with him. Then his lawyers came with a letter. Then they did their own permutations and gave him 69 days. And they also added some number of days to it. I was worried when he took him off the wanted list and determined and make the case so forcefully that if he refused to appear, he might have put him on the wanted list again, which he did this evening. I think they had that friendly encounter, and it became very a tassel for them. And he has no choice than to come back to where we are now. I would have loved it when he put him on the wanted list a long time ago, that he shouldn't have removed him. Then that becomes the basis for tracking him or tracing him to wherever he is. We would have gone far. But here we are again after. This is Ghana. Sometimes we stretch the issues and people say all manner of things. And they may think we the investigators are not doing something right, or we don't know what we are doing. And sometimes I feel pain or pissed off when people do some of those things. But these are the avenues, and it is left for us to decide which of the options to apply in relation to a peculiarity of a particular case, the subject of the crime suspect, and what the outcome is expected of us. And this is where we are today. I would have loved it to stay there, but lo and behold, he brought it today, and today the line has been drawn. So let's see the way it goes.
I do appreciate your time on this.
Thank you, Alfred. God bless.
Thank you so much. And that's Richard Kumado, former operator of national security, joining us here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. We're also on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond, on W 93.5 in Y and beyond. We're back shortly. Bismarck Ewusa is standing by with a summary of the business news after this quick break.
Ghana, it's a new year and Bills Microcredit is here to support your dreams. If you're not working but want to start a business, don't let money stop you. With just your Ghana card, you can get a loan to turn your ideas into reality. Already running a business? Need more capital? Or are you a salary worker looking for extra funds? Bills offers fast and easy loans with no collateral, no deposit, and no SUSI savings required. Wherever you are, whatever you need, Bills makes it happen. Call Bills Microcredit today. Call 0596 920 833 or 0302 200 390 and get started. Bills is licensed and regulated by the Bank of Ghana. Bills, financing your needs. Terms and conditions apply.
Hello, good evening and welcome to the Business News on Hot Edition here on 3FM 92.7. Coming up tonight, fuel prices drop for the 7th time in a row, but consumer groups says reductions still fall short as cedi strengthens further. Thanks for your company. Now to the very first story. For the 7th consecutive time, fuel prices at the pumps have been reduced nationwide, offering some relief to motorists and businesses. However, fresh concerns are emerging from consumer advocacy groups, including the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, COPEC, over what they describe as insufficient price cuts, especially in light of the cedi's continued appreciation against the dollar. COPEC Executive Secretary Duncan Amwa is demanding that oil marketing companies pass on the full benefits of the exchange rate gains to consumers.
Wish to see is that at least everybody would have gone below the 12 Ghana cedi threshold, so that every Ghanaian buying fuel today could at least be enjoying the benefits of the reduction that the currency is delivering. But that is not the case now, and it is worrying, Michael.
Interesting, Duncan, but at least we'll cut them some slack and say at least amongst the market players in the across the country in the markets, the OMCs have been relatively consistent with dropping their prices. The Ghana Union of Traders Association say they need time before they will start cutting prices. But maybe now that fuel prices have dropped again, they'll be inspired to drop their prices soon. We have in studio Charles Kusi Apia Kubi. He is the head of Economic and Business Bureau of GUTA. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you, sir. I'm sure you're a very happy man with everything that's happening in the economy, and soon you drop prices further, right?
We are very happy, and prices has already started dropping down. Oh, yes. We did not say we not drop down prices.
You said you needed about 2 months to...
We said that for a drastic reduction in prices, we need 2 months.
2 months.
To do that. But even that time, price of items has started dropping. Let me run it down, some of the prices that we know have gone down. When you take...
In a related development, rating agency Fitch Solutions is forecasting monetary policy easing at the next MPC briefing in July, following recent gains by the cedi. The research firm says the local currency's strength will ease inflationary pressures, allowing the Bank of Ghana to roll back its March key lending rate hike with a cumulative 200 basis point cut by the end of 2025. The following 3 Business News Desk report has details.
750
to 750, about 200 cedi drop.
The 4 kg was 400, now 330.
330.
Yes, and we take general oil 25 liters. Was selling at 780. Now some range of 620 Ghana cedis.
Okay.
Yes, and it took out spaghetti was about 150, now 115. So even within the food commodities, you see some drops in terms of prices.
And that brings us to the end of the business segment on Hot Edition with me, Bismarck. Also, for more business stories, please check out our website, 3news.com. Thanks for your company.
Hello, good evening and welcome to the sports segment here on the 3FM Hot Edition. My name is Billy Shen. Starting off from the local scene now, Kennedy Boachiansa, who is the branch manager of Nations FC, has stated that the club intends to disband the team after an incident that happened during the Ghana Premier League match between Nations FC and Basake Holy Stars. Now, Nations, who are on top of the league table, abandoned the game after a second penalty was awarded to Basake Holy Stars. Now, he spoke on the 3FM Sports Ultras.
It depends on the report from the bank commissioner, but we'll file an official complaint to the GFA, and we'll see whatever decision the FA will take. And like I mentioned, I'm not interested in Ghana football anymore. We are tired. Because he just wanted 3 points. There's no need threatening lives. They told us either we lose the game or they kill somebody today. And that's why we had to ask our supporters to walk out to the stadium.
That was Kennedy Boachiansa, who is the branch manager of Nations FC. Now, Solomon Amankwa, who is a sports journalist for Unia Sports, believes that Basake Holy Stars should face sanctions from the GFA.
For this, I would have to condemn that act. Before the start of the game, we saw images of Nations FC, their videographer not allowed to go take coverage. Per the conversations I've had, he was at the VIP trying to take the coverage, and those there said he is blocking their view. And I feel that it was right, because if you go to Ampane, there's a designated area for cameras. So if you want to take video, that is where you are supposed to be. But he was at the VIP stands where he was blocking the view of other people, so they manhandled him. I don't think that was the right way to go. I'm told Divine had to step in and all those altercations happened. But before the game even started, there have been issues of not allowing supporters into the stadium, of which it is not right. And if the Ghana Football Association does not sanction Basake Holy Stars for that act, it will be a surprise to me. But you know, I think that it is something we need to condemn. It shouldn't happen in this modern day and era.
That was Solomon Amankwa, sports journalist for Onuya Sports, speaking on that incident between Nations FC and also Basake Holy Stars. Now, Pyramids FC managed to win the CAF Champions League trophy for the first time in their history after they defeated Mamelodi Sundowns by 3-2 after aggregate scoreline. Now, Nuhu Adams, who is an African football expert, believes that Pyramid boosted their success with very good expenditure over the years.
This investment has been there for quite a long time. I think Promise was purchased, or it was a team that was called Al-Asoti. Then Sheikh and his Saudi group purchased the club, changed the name to Pyramid FC, and ever since they've been doing proper investment, trying as much as possible to bring the duopoly in Egypt and then also dominating African football. So you look at Pyramids, for the last 4 editions of the Egypt Premier League, they have been runners-up.
That was Nuhu Adams there talking about the success of Pyramids FC in the CAF Champions League. Bringing an end to the sports segment here on a 3FM Hot Edition. My name is Billy Shen, and of course that brings an end to the Hot Edition as well. Remember, you can get more sports news on our website at www.3news.com, and also we have some sports updates on News 360 on TV3 and Sports Station. That will be coming up at 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. And don't forget, Alfred Okante will be on standby on TV3 for Ghana Tonight starting from 10 p.m. And until next time, which is tomorrow, have a great evening.